Before we start, this is a heads up to let you guys know that we use explicit language and content.
Hey everybody, this is Mark. I had to leave in the middle of this episode. These guys continued without me. I had another obligation I had to handle. Thank you. Hope you enjoy the episode.
Yeah, but then it tastes like a Granny Smith, and
Yeah,
I like it.
it's pretty good. Never had it before.
Yeah, that and lime cucumber. Yeah. Oh my god.
The flavors nowadays.
Yeah.
I just call it by colors.
You can't do that.
Everybody do that. Blue, green, red.
Yeah.
What do you need? Sometimes there's an orange. If you see a yellow, avoid it.
I don't know if you guys saw
Might
it.
be banana, might be lemon.
Hey,
Don't risk it.
it doesn't matter.
It's kind of hard to judge them by colors because, there's too many different flavors in each color.
Light blue, dark blue. Light red, dark red, pink. Easy.
There are like 4 different red ones.
Yeah. I mean,
Or you could just leave the labels off of it like a Chinese buffet.
yeah.
Welcome to Chinese restaurant. What the fuck is that?
Great question. You just told me.
I'll have
Now
some
I
of
wanna-
the
now I
yellow.
want to go to a Chinese buffet.
Yeah,
See, that's
I
what
can't
made me
eat
mad
it.
as a kid, because I loved wonton soup, but I didn't know what it was because it didn't have a label on it.
Mm-hmm.
There was only like 5 things that had a label, but that one didn't, and it made me mad. I wanted to like order it at like other Chinese restaurants, but I didn't know what it was called. I was like, yeah, can you give me the brown soup with the green things in it? And they gave me something totally different. I was like, okay, well.
Not that.
Depending on which restaurant you go to, the food looks completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't taste different either, so.
I don't know. I used to love egg drop soup, and then I realized what it was.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
I never had it.
Yeah, it's basically egg and vegetable oil.
That's.
It's gross. It's salty.
How is that
I don't
soup?
I don't know, man. Rice wine. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Rice wine is pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't drink anything ever.
Yeah. You get most of your liquid from lettuce or what?
I was about to say
Alcohol, you know what I mean.
Gatorade right now.
Yeah.
I don't drink any alcohol whatsoever.
That's probably good. You know.
Done it twice. Both times ended badly.
Well, I should have learned after my first bender, but I didn't.
Been drunk twice in my life. Both times were very bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Just in case you didn't know, you can never win a fist fight with a tree. No matter how that ends, you lose.
Yeah, even if you're getting your car and try to run his ass over.
still,
Yeah.
you're still the one paying.
Yeah. Nothing good is going to come of that.
I want, oh my god, I want to interview a bunch of guys, and I want them to tell me drunk stories, but only sentences like that. Like you will build like morals. Like don't tell me your actual story. Just tell me the moral of the story of what you learned. Like Mark is like, you can't win in a fist fight with a tree. Perfect. For me, it'd be, it's not wise to impersonate the Joker at 1 a.m. in the parking lot of your apartment complex. Perfect. For my roommate, it's not good to threaten your friends with an AK-47. Perfect. Luckily, it was unloaded. I checked that.
My second one, the one-liner would be, shirts can be deceiving.
I agree.
The more I think about it, the funnier it gets. I mean, it's just...
Are we rolling?
Yeah, this is going. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to keep it, but... Because I don't want Mark's friend to get mad at me, because I'm only 20. I'm not supposed to be drinking.
Don't watch the Powerpuff Girls if you're going to lose count.
So, let's get on to questions.
Yeah.
yeah.
We do have questions.
Episode number
4?
4.
Sure. Yeah, 4. What you said. You're
No,
keeping
can we
better
just
count
say
than
like
I am.
random numbers? Like, next episode be like, episode number 10.
We could pull a Timmy.
Stuff.
Episode number Thursday. How much does that weigh? Hour and a half. Just use a completely different unit of measure that is appropriate for the question.
Next time we're working together,
How
I
big is
want
your
you
wrist?
to do that.
Friday.
Every time somebody says something to you,
Okay.
randomness.
Deal.
I want to see this.
Deal. And I'll try to convert it to a comparable, like Wednesday is half.
Actually make a translation.
I'll turn it into, if I can. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Deal.
Okay,
This is what I do now that I'm sober.
Hey.
Okay, so episode 4 of Man School Podcast.
Fourth place! Okay, sorry. Travel light. Don't take home a trophy. I'm the winner! All you other lugs got crap to take home.
We have a good time here. This
We
is
do.
fun.
Questions.
Alright,
Yeah,
so
questions. Go.
today's questions are wrapped around daily routine. So, the first question I have is how do I organize my day? What is the best way for me to plan out my day well?
That's dependent on the individual.
Yeah, what are your anchors?
Okay, so let's say that I got work most of the time, but I do want to keep a little bit of time for myself and time for friends.
Your process sucks.
Yeah, horrible. No, what we mean is, what do you... how am I going to explain this to him? What system do you use to organize your day?
Oh, pen and paper.
That was, I think we just heard it.
Yeah, it's usually what I use. I use my brain.
Okay, that's a problem. We need to talk about different mediums here. You can use a computer. It's got calendars.
I have an approach. Can we... Okay. How do you budget your month financially?
Financially budget my month.
Yeah, how do you budget?
I plan out what I need to pay for and when I need to pay for it,
Okay.
and I keep that safe until the time.
Okay. On that list, do you put things in chronological order, like here's when I get paid? And I know delivering pizzas, you get paid pretty much every day you work,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a payday every 2
I mean,
weeks.
basically I'll just put like them chronologically from the date when they need to be paid, and if there's a payday in between the dates, then that's where I usually put it.
Okay.
Getting
Hold on.
bad faces here.
They're not bad, but you're going to learn,
Well-
and I like this.
Here's my thing. I don't think you actually do that.
Oh, you don't think I actually do that?
Oh.
I'm calling you out. You don't do that.
What?
You keep it in your head, don't you? You
I
don't
mean,
write
I
it
never
down.
said I wrote it
Oh!
down. I never said I wrote it down.
Oh, two words into the sentence, and we have the answer. Yeah.
I never said I wrote it down.
Well, then you're not writing it in chronological order, are you?
Oh, well, I mean, I picture myself writing it if that helps.
Visualization is the first step towards goal attainment.
Yeah.
No. No. Action is the first step. Everything before action is planning.
Well, then that's how I do it. I plan it, and
And then let it wash over you like the sewer pipe exploded.
yep.
Oh. Okay. You want to know how I plan my day? Here's an insight. At the end of the night when I work and I have money in my hand, I set aside money for a tithe, money to give away, just for good. Just, to put good out there. 10% of whatever I've made for the evening after I've paid for my expenses. So if I had to buy gas, I pay cash for that, and then whatever's left, 10% tithe, generosity donation. Then 10% towards savings. And then I take between 5 and 10%, depending on how much I made that night. Like if we're cutting it close to the bone, 5. If it's a little bit better, 10. Never more than I give away, but it can be equal. And then the rest of it I put towards bills. So do something for other people that you're not going to get paid back for. Look out for your future. Plan on doing something good for yourself. And then satisfy your obligations.
This is the kind of answer you get from a finance major.
Yeah, that's true.
Finance major, that's the kind of answer you're going to get.
Right.
On money, anyway.
I like cash because it is congealed, distilled life. Like, your financial situation is a snapshot of your beliefs, your decisions, your actions, and your habits and your efforts. So the way you make decisions is going to be the toolbox that you take into the way you handle your money. So if you handle your money intentionally, if you handle your money with purpose, you're going to see that as you're earning your money, you're spending your time doing whatever to get money back. When you handle your money, you're going to go, okay, I remember this with effort. Okay, this first 10% was, the first 40 minutes of my day. Okay, cool. And then, I worked my butt off today, and I don't want to get stuck with not enough money for an oil change the next time it comes up. So I'm going to put the next 40 minutes of my day towards savings, because I don't know what's going to come up next, because if it isn't on my budget, it's a surprise, but I have a surprise fund. And then, you know what, I worked my butt off today, so I'm going to take 10% and set it aside for the gun food budget, or, paragliding lessons, or whatever. It doesn't even really have to have a label on it other than me. And the rest of it is what they get. And if what I bring home doesn't cover my obligations, well, I need to work harder. Or find a
lucrative job.
Yeah. That same process applies to how you should plan out your day, how you should map out your day. I'm going to spend some time helping somebody or helping out. I'm going to spend some time cleaning my house or whatever.
Here's the big thing. The advice he's giving you is great.
Thank you.
But
But
if you don't do it,
yes.
and you don't hold yourself to it, it does nothing. So, if you make a plan, well, the first step to actually planning your day and your new routine, which is what you should try to build, is writing it down.
Mm-hmm.
And sticking to it.
And the sticking to it's actually pretty easy.
Once it becomes routine. At first, if
Yeah,
you're changing
but I mean,
something, if you're changing something in your life that's bothering you, then it's really hard at first.
It can be.
But then when you build a routine, it's better.
Mm-hmm. You do it without thinking about it.
Like, Monday is probably my most planned day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very specific, and I have it written down. The reason Monday's my most planned day is because of this.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just a commitment that I'm making to myself, it's a commitment I'm making to you two.
There's a key in that. There's a really important lesson in
So
that.
I plan my day around this. I also have schoolwork that I have to do, and I know what I have to have done before the day's over. I also have commitments to 5 other people on Mondays that I plan for. Then I have my kids usually on Mondays in the morning, so I have to plan for that. Somewhere in there I have to find time for that schoolwork that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, if you have a lot to do, especially if you have a lot to do,
Mm-hmm.
planning your day is very important. There are days, Saturday. Every week on Saturday, I do nothing.
Yes, one day a week.
Nothing is planned. If I want to do something, I do it. If I don't want to do something, I don't.
Ideally, I like, for me, sundown Friday to sundown Saturday, but that's from me and, well, it's not from me, but yeah, that's ideal for me. A sundown Friday to sundown Saturday, I do nothing.
For me, it's when I wake up on Saturday until I go to bed Sunday. Because that's, you guys know, I'm up
that's true.
at night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I wake up on Saturday until I go to bed on Sunday. And then when I wake up on Sunday, I hit the ground running with schoolwork.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also my family dinner. It's always planned in there between 4 and 5. And then I go back to schoolwork. And all of this has been written down in the past. I don't really have it anymore because you guys know that I've gone through a big life change recently. So.
Yeah. Well, still are, I would say.
Yeah. So I'm still in the process of restructuring my life.
Retooling your day.
Yeah. But you have something that people misuse frequently right there on that desk that can help you with everything you need to plan for today.
If it works for you.
Or you can use a pen and paper.
Boom.
Or you can use a calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can use one of those planner books.
Yeah, turn on that black thing with the silencer company ad on the front.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, open that up to the one with the red ribbon.
Mm.
That's what my days look like. It's a day planner for those of you that are getting this in podcast form. They're $1.88 from Walmart. Do it.
That's the only way they're going to get this is in podcast. We're not recording video yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Which reminds me,
Mm-hmm.
I have something in my car.
Oh, yeah? I can put all of that stuff on Outlook and pipe it through my phone. That's why I have a Windows phone. Don't make fun of me, people.
He actually has done it the right way. He has a Windows phone, a Windows laptop, and he uses them in conjunction. And his email address is an Outlook email. That's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is coming from a tech guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all Microsoft, his calendar, his
emails.
Okay,
My invites.
I can send him an email saying that inviting him to my house at
6:30 p.m. on
6:30
Monday
p.m.
for
on Monday.
D&D.
He can easily hit one button on that email, and it's going to put it on his calendar.
Yep. An hour beforehand,
schedule
I
you
get a
get?
reminder.
Emailed to you? You have Gmail?
I've actually got Yahoo.
No, that works too.
Not this iPhone.
Oh, yeah, no.
Well, me, when I get mine, I use an Android, Google-based device. So, when I get my Gmail, and get my schedule from work, I can upload it to my calendar. And then my phone is going to tell me 30 minutes before I have to go to work that I need to get ready for work.
Mm-hmm. And you can set that to an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do is get an Outlook email and have that email access all of your other ones. I have an email that's an old email for Yahoo, just for web crawlers, and my Outlook doesn't access that. I check into it on my time when I want to. When I'm in a headspace where I can handle whatever has come through that pipe, you know, Persian women importing pills. Do you have an interest in mortgage refinancing for Nikes? All that crap sits in that pool, and I can go boop boop done delete, and it's kind of cleansing. But that totally bypasses my other Yahoo account, my two Gmail accounts, an old account from work, when I was in school, my .edu account, and my Outlook account that I use for, you know, job searches and whatever. So.
There's another thing that you unfortunately don't have because you use Windows. Neither do you because you have an iPhone.
iPhone.
But Google phones are actually better. This is why. Okay, Google. Remind me to change the laundry in an hour.
Sure. I'll remind you at 8:40 p.m.
I didn't have to touch a button. Not one.
Nice.
At any point in time.
Oh, let me try something.
Cortana doesn't work through your lock screen.
Well, that's true, but...
Google does.
Yeah, but I don't want Cortana listening in on my conversation. Hey, Cortana, at 8:39 p.m., remind me to make fun of Mark's calendar.
All right. I'll remind you to make fun of Mark's calendar at 8:39 p.m. today. Sound good?
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, I'll remind you. You can see it in the notebook anytime.
He also had a confirmation step that I didn't have to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Which means my steps are more deliberate. You've heard me use the phrase, slow down, you'll go faster?
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
Sure, canceled.
Not canceled.
My point is, one of the problems with technology is people don't actually use it for what it can actually help you with.
Yeah.
One of those things is scheduling your day, planning your day. Can really help you with it.
Yeah.
And with minimal effort. But
that's something that you have to habitize.
But
Hashtag habitize it.
part of the problem with that is if you put in minimal effort, that's what you're gonna get out. Minimal results.
Well, the beautiful thing about tech, especially with computers, you can put in some effort at the front, and as long as you do it with the mindset of repeatability, with the eye towards being able to set things up so that you can do it, one-click purchasing kind of thing. I'm too lazy to double-click when I want to buy something on eBay, so I'm going to shop on Amazon. If you put in the effort up front so that you can just put something in, you're good. So when I put that message into my phone, the phone knew which calendar to send it to, which email account to use, and where everything went through. That took an evening and then maybe 2 more hours later on over the course of a week to set up with my computer and my phone and all that stuff.
He could have even told his phone to text me and make fun of me. And it would have.
Yeah. At 8:39, that computer screen is going to ding and say, make fun of Mark's calendar.
But I prefer Google over Windows. But then again, I prefer Microsoft Office products over Google Office products.
I sold out to Microsoft when I was doing the project management thing because it was the most, it's just prolific. It was the most accessible wherever I was.
Only problem with it is phones. Their phones are not good.
I love my Windows phone, but it does everything I need it to do, and I could, let's say I was going down the road and forgot that I needed to reorder some steel for a project that I had just left. I could pull up Cortana or whatever and put that on there. And it would go right to my computer that was sitting in the back seat. And then when I opened my computer at the next job site, it would say, hey, order steel. And somebody would walk up to me and want to chatter, and I'd go, hold on, I got to do this thing.
Do you use Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge?
Chrome.
That's the only place you're messing up.
Really?
If you're using everything Windows, use their web browser.
Really?
If you're using everything Google, use their web browser. If you're using everything iPhone, use their web browser. Safari. You can even download it for your computer.
It's all PHP or Linux.
The programs work better together
Mm-hmm.
when they're from the same company. Simple as that.
Right.
Same coders are working on the same things.
Yeah.
So, the coding is going to work better together.
Yeah, the coding's set up to jive and mesh. If you want to be fancy about it. Before you get that far, though, you have to be deliberate about making the step to do the step.
Yep. That's a big part. It's a huge part. That's the one that ruined my life for years.
Mm-hmm.
I never made the effort.
That's where Kaizen comes in. If you want to have a routine, it has to be a habit. For something to be a habit, usually you got to do it 4 times a week. If it takes more than 15 minutes, do it 4 times a week, and it'll become a habit. Habits will become your routine, because they have a way of permeating other stuff. So before it becomes 4 times a week and then a habit, you have to be deliberate about it today.
And that's the struggle I was talking about.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. Once you get past that, it becomes a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. If you pick something that will dictate or enable the other things that you want to do, that's the thing you need to focus on. That'll make your life easier. So, what I habitized with my money handling, again, same
Finance
example.
major.
Yeah. I keep it simple, man. Dollars and cents. I wanted to take control of my money, so where do I have the best control over that during the flow of time, during the day? At what point do I have the least interruptions? Well, before I hand it off to anybody else. At the end of my day, I go buy gas. Every day, because that makes room in my day to do the next step, which is figure out how much money I have. I'm handling it anyway. Okay, cool. So I decided to take charge of that cash flow rather than throw it in a jar and at the end of the week count it, because it flies away if you don't put tabs on it immediately. And that kind of went full circle. So I count it every day. Okay, well, when? Okay, well, if I'm going to count it at the end of my shift every day or when I get home every day, well, how about at the end of my shift? Okay, well, how much am I going to spend on gas? Oh, well, let's buy it now. Okay, so now that becomes part of and pretty soon it's a routine. You go to work 5 days a week. That's more than 4 times a week. Takes more than 15 minutes a day. When I buy gas, because I just clocked out, okay, my brain says, hey, it's clocked out, it's time to go buy gas. Hey, I just bought gas, it's time to count my money. Hey, how much money do I have? All right, cool. Now it's a routine.
I want to go back on something you said.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a little bit off topic, actually, but it's important. How he said, if you don't keep tabs on your money, it just flies away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask Dan a question, and I'm not sure how this is going to turn out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll find out. Where's your checkbook?
It is in a file cabinet next to the books that I keep.
You balance it?
Oh, yeah, that's what the
Really?
books are. No, every time I write a check.
And
It's
any
the
auto pays?
It's the same. Oh, yeah,
You
it's
keep
the
track of
same
it all.
books.
My point is, do you have a checking account?
Oh, I've got a checking account, but I don't have a
Do you have a
checkbook.
checkbook?
No.
So you don't keep a registry?
No, I mean I've got the app which shows me
Right,
what
yeah.
I pay for.
You got an app. That's different.
Do you use your app?
Yeah, I look at it.
You look at it before you want to buy something, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make sure you got the money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That's the
Dan
tail wagging
knows.
the dog, dude.
Dan knows right now how much money he's got in the bank account.
Mm-hmm.
I know how much money right now I've got in the bank account. Do you?
I mean, if you were to ask me
there's
any
those
other,
2 words.
if you were to ask me any other time, probably not. But since I had just checked before I got here, yeah, I know.
My point is, it goes back to if you don't keep track of it, it just flies away.
Yeah.
Do you know the last thing you spent money on? Out of your bank account?
Yes.
Was it today?
No, it was yesterday.
Okay. Do you know the last thing you spent money out of your bank account on?
Yeah, 150-pound bag of coffee. Well, coffee bag. There's no coffee in it.
Last thing that I spent was my auto pay to my Dollar Shave Club.
Boom.
$9.
There you go.
I paid for some grilling supplies.
How much?
How much?
How much?
$44 and some change.
How much was your bag?
$1.99 plus tax.
So
It was
$2.13.
$2.16.
$2.16.
I was in Marion, yeah. So
My point is, we know exactly how much we spent. Mine was $9 even.
you see under that Harbor Freight catalog.
Right under here.
Yeah.
This.
Yep.
Oh. You showed me this.
I'm married, so I do that with my wife. That's why it's in handwriting that's legible. So, but then it stays in my room, my workspace.
And he knows exactly when and what he has to pay.
Mm-hmm.
What he's already paid for, what he hasn't paid for yet.
Mm-hmm. And because I review it every time money moves, I know what's coming up next. I know what I just paid. I know what to expect next month because I've been paying it for the last 6 months. All that stuff. And at a certain point, your brain will do something automatically. And that is keep the records, take notes.
It's important if you want to be successful.
Yeah.
Look at the difference in me and Dan. In our current life situation. I was never a planner until recently. I've struggled with money every day of my life since I turned 19.
And started making money.
And you know very well that I'm still having problems.
You're recovering. You're getting there.
Part of it's because of the fact that I'm going through a huge life change right now.
Yeah.
You lose over half your income
Yeah.
in a fell swoop, things change. But, my point is, if you plan, you're going to be more successful. Dan is more successful, especially on the money matters, than I am. And you want to know the truth of it? He probably hasn't made anywhere near as much money as I have in the last 10 years.
In the last 4.
Well, okay, he was beating me then, barely. But between me and my wife,
Yeah.
barely beating us back then. But
Well, that was me. That was me.
last 4 years, I know I made a ton more than you.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
But he has more than me. Why?
Because he managed it better.
There you go. And I learned that skill on the job because I had to handle other people's money. And at about 29, I had the epiphany, oh my God, what if I was my own client? I would be loaded. And I started working towards that.
As a manager, I've always been in control of somebody else's money.
Yeah.
And I did really well with their money, not my own.
Right.
And a lot of it was because I do what you do. And check my app instead of using a checking record. It's a mistake. You're going to want to fix that.
One leads the other, leads the first. So if you take control of your own money by getting in front of it and telling it where to go, eventually you'll feel better about yourself, and then you'll be better able to direct where things go. So if you don't think enough of yourself to go, you know what, I deserve to have a good money manager for my money, you're going to let things come at you and you're going to be reactionary. But if you say, you know what, no, I want to do this, so I'm going to take charge of this thing in my life. It could be your day, it could be your money, it could be your food, it could be your exercise, it could be your whatever. But one thing that affects you. In the Old Testament, Daniel started by taking charge of his diet. You know, one thing, grab onto it, hang on to it, and after a while, you'll get a little bit of confidence. And then you refine the way that you do it, and you get more confidence. And then you can say, oh, I have a pretty cool toolbox here. Maybe I can apply it somewhere else in my life. You do that with your day, and then you're like, oh my God, I actually have 16 and a half hours a day where I can get stuff done. Wow. And then you feel good about yourself, and then you go, I spend 4 of it watching TV most nights. Well, that sucks. But they're dance partners. Your intent and your confidence and your self-esteem are dance partners. They feed off each other if you feed them.
And when you're going to change how you live your life, which is what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Start off small.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Jordan Peterson says, clean your room before you judge the rest of the world.
Yeah. Make your bed before you clean your room.
Yeah. Start off small. Build. And only try to change things that you can. Only try to change things you know you can change. Because if you start failing right at the outset, you're going to give up. Start small, then build up.
Pick a spot where you put your shoes, or pick a spot where you put your keys every day. Something that is so small that you can control it no matter what the world throws at you. This one thing. Make your bed. Well, if you're not there yet, if you're not in control of your own day enough yet that you can wake up and take 5 minutes and make your bed, okay, where am I going to put my shoes?
And
Same spot every day.
Exactly. Trickle down to where you can actually control something and then build your way up.
And if it's right inside the door, well, it's right next to your roommates and his girlfriends and couch guy. Move that space, because I don't know about you, but I do know about you. The whole time I was single, there was couch guy. Sometimes I knew him, sometimes I didn't, but there was usually somebody on the couch. Oh yeah, okay, couch guy. Don't leave it in couch guy's space. Put your shoes in your room. Even if you take them off at the front door, walk them in, set them on a towel. Stay in the spirit of taking off your shoes. Set them on a towel that is right inside your door, that you're not going to trip over, and that's not going to trip over other people. It's in your space. And what you've just done psychologically is stake out your own space and control when you are in the place, meaning have your shoes on or have your shoes off, that you can leave the apartment. You're not waiting for couch guy to move over so that you can go to work. You get out to the end of your bed, you put your shoes on, and you get up and you go to work. Walk past couch guy. That's a big thing. Walk past couch guy.
Control is very important.
And you can get that by... You say control and everybody thinks force. No, it's planning. Archimedes said if you give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum, I can move the world. And a fulcrum. But if it's 15 feet away from him, that'll never happen. If it's a little bit closer to the earth on the teeter-totter, then that makes it easy. So place your tools where they're going to be the most effective. Pick your shots is what I'm saying.
Well, this question led us way off topic.
Yeah.
Let's go to the second one, because I need to leave soon.
Okay.
Alrighty,
And if you want to come back to this in another episode, I'm totally open to it.
Okay.
This is a big thing.
Next question I got is when is the best time to make time for myself? Is it in the morning? Is it in the middle of the day? Or is it during the nighttime?
That depends on you. Depends on your personality.
And your schedule. Honestly.
Yeah.
Because there are things that you can't control. Like, what time do you have to be at work? You can't control that. There's no control over
Right.
that. Your boss tells you when you have to be there. You have to be there then. Okay? So you have to work around that. Sometimes there's commitments outside of work that you have to work around.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to find the time for yourself. You have to.
Mm-hmm. If you know when you have to be at work, you know when you have to wake up. if you're honest, you know when you need to go to bed. If
That's
it works better for you, if it works better for you to sit on your butt for 10 minutes and zone out or meditate or whatever before you go to work, okay, go to bed 10 minutes sooner. Okay, well, how long am I going to be in bed? Well, does the alarm go off 15 times and you hit snooze? Yeah. Then that's something you need to be honest about with yourself. And you don't have to answer to anybody else. You live on your own. But if you're honest with yourself about it, you go, okay, I need 6.5 hours in bed a night, not 6.5 hours of sleep, 15 minutes before I'm actually asleep, and then 15 minutes to go, oh my God, this sucks. But I will consistently get out of bed 6.5 hours after I lay down, or 7 hours. For me, it's 6 hours and 45 minutes. If that tells you how specific we are about this. I know that if I need to be one town away, I'm not really always good about this, because I have to talk myself into going to work at Domino's. But, yeah, I'm not always humble. Not usually humble. I know that I need to be out of bed an hour and 10 minutes before I need to be there. Because I know how much these things take me to do, and I have, my uniform set up the night before. Well, I wouldn't know any of that stuff except by trial and error. So don't beat yourself up if it doesn't work the first time. You're going to learn something every time you take a trip around every time you take a lap around that day.
Anytime you fail something, look at it as an opportunity to learn.
Mm-hmm. Fail up. And when you do something right, celebrate the shit out of it. Even if it's in your own head. If you show up for work 5 minutes early and that's what you've been struggling with, when you get back in your car to go home, go, me, woo! Or go into the bathroom and stand there in, warrior pose, big, me, for 2 minutes. And reward yourself psychologically. And you'll remember it.
And here we are, back at it again. And
Dun, dun, dun.
for the last question,
We are sans Mark, so I'm hoping he'll record separate later.
maybe, possibly. We'll try to plan that.
Right on.
And so my question for Dan right now is, what do I do? Okay, so I've got my schedule for the day,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm working through it. What do I do if life throws a wrench into the gears?
When life throws a wrench.
When life throws a wrench into the gears and the schedule goes out the window.
That's vague enough that there's two answers. If your schedule for the day is a list of priorities, the wrench is just your top priority now. It just means something got added to your list. Doesn't necessarily mean anything fell off yet, the bottom of the list, but you've just had to reprioritize something that you didn't expect. Okay, deal with it. Move on. Good. And gain some confidence from defeating whatever that is. If things are time sensitive, if they're on an itinerary, reschedule what you can reschedule and make it happen. There are some amazing articles on that in the world of project management. That's what project management is. Coordinating the efforts of disparate parties to achieve a singular goal. Without getting too nerdy there. Getting everybody to work together on something that they wouldn't do on their own. And Murphy's Law, it's always going to happen. You just need to decide whether or not it's something that you have to reboot your whole day or just something you need to reprioritize. So, does that help?
Yeah, that answered it pretty well.
Right on. Thank you.
Yeah. Any last comments?
Don't underestimate the value of Kaizen. Kaizen. Give yourself credit, focus on one thing, and when you focus on one thing, you inherently say no to everything else, and that frees up your resources to focus on the one thing. Your time, your money, your creative juices, your creative brain power, creative thinking. I often, and I actually learned this one from Tim Ferriss, I often approach the day or the week or whatever scale we're on here like a cowboy going into a gunfight. You got a 6-shooter, pick your targets. If you've only got so much in the way of resources, if you've only got one worm to put on the hook, don't plan on fishing all day. If you've only got so many resources, don't waste them on the little stuff. Take an inventory of what you want, of what you have, get a list of what you want, and match your abilities up with your wants.
And that concludes this week's episode of Man School Podcast. Thank you guys for sitting with us, and be sure to give us constructive feedback or a question of your own at manschoolpodcast@gmail.com. That's manschoolpodcast@gmail.com, all lowercase. Thanks again, and always think for yourself.
Don't watch the Powerpuff Girls if you're going to lose count. Now, if you want me to expound on that, I can.
I'd love to.
Okay. I had a buddy named Chris Addison. She and I would go girl watching together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She worked in the receiving department at Lowe's. I worked out on the floor at Lowe's. We were pals. We got hired on about the same time, and we were both on cashiers. And we would throw things at each other, and it was totally platonic, zero stress, but really fun. So we just became buds, right? She got promoted, I got promoted, we went different directions. Well, we stayed in touch, and we would go hang out at least once a month, usually once every other week, whatever. So one night, I was living in Carbondale, and I got off work at 4. And she was going to lunch or something. As we hit the time clock at the same time. She said, "Hey, you going out tonight?" I said, "I wasn't planning on it, but I'm up for whatever." She said, "All right. Here's when I get off." Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go home and do laundry. Okay, cool. Because I only had one shirt in my closet. And it was the shirt that I never wore out of the house. It said in huge letters, "I'm shy, but I have a big dick." Set it on the front and the back.
Wow.
Right.
Why'd you buy that shirt?
It was a gift from a lady friend of mine who had just come back from Cancun.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
which intrigues me because this lady looked at this shirt and thought to
And
herself,
thought of me?
Dan Alcorn.
Yeah.
Okay, so continue with your story.
He's a giant prick joke in there somewhere, but I'm going to leave it alone. So, I go home, I throw everything in the laundry basket. Addie's the last one off work, so she's going to drive, last one to show up, first rounds on them kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Haha, I got off work first, so, you're driving tonight. So I do what you have to do to make sure that you're not the driver, and cracked open a beer. Well, I had bought a 30-pack the night before and threw it in the fridge, and, that was a week and a half's worth of beer. Just left it there. So I turn on the TV while I'm sorting things out, color load, towel load, whites load, whatever. And Powerpuff Girls comes on. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I got some time, because I think Powerpuff Girls is hilarious, right?
Mm-hmm.
And drink a beer, sort, Powerpuff Girls cartoon. Oh, another one. Okay, cool. Look at my watch. I'm like, yeah, I still got time. I'll be all right. Laundromat's right at the end of the road here, so no problem. It was a Powerpuff Girls marathon, and they never said that. So 8 o'clock rolls around. Alcorn, open up! And I look down, and there's 17 and a half empty beer cans. Powerpuff Girls marathon, and I have one clean shirt. And I said, well, come on in. And she opens the doors and goes, God damn it. Just as it opened, like she saw one, and I guess it turned into a pile. And I said, yeah, and she said, all right. Like, whatever you're going to say, okay,
Yeah.
Go ahead. So I went in the other room and I changed my shirt, only clean shirt I had. And she said, I'm driving, I'm picking. I said, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, God. I see where this is going.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. It's Carbondale, right?
Yeah, just.
So, that's the other rule. If you're driving, you pick the bar. I hop in the car, we stop and get cigarettes. She takes the long way around, and we end up at this bar that I had never been to. Music was thumping. Great dance music. Dance floor was full. The light show was even fun. And, over the weekends, I worked at a nightclub that was open until 5 in the morning. I mean, my standards were pretty high. Like, you got to be a serious partier for me to be impressed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool, So I go over to the bar, I get a Bud Light. And there was this, plant in the corner.
Oh, Bud Light and that shirt?
Yeah.
At that place?
Oh, yeah, dude, totally.
Oh, God.
As soon as you walk in, there was a basket of condoms.
Oh,
And then,
wow.
And then a little window where you got your hand stamped and paid your cover charge. Well, it was a weeknight, So I didn't have a cover charge or anything, but Addie walks up to the window and goes, he's with me, he's new. Like, right on, they give out Italian party favors, and I know the doorman. Awesome, So I go into the bar, get my beer, and I find a quiet spot on the wall just to kind of feel the place out, right? And they had can lighting in the ceilings. So there were these little cones of illumination at various points along the wall. I'm a few feet from the bar, leaned up against the wall. I got one foot propped up against the wall, the James Dean kind of thing, feeling out the place you're in. And this little dude walks up with his t-shirt sleeves cut in shorty shorts, terry cloth, matching pants with his hair all spiked up. And he leans into that cone that's right in front of me and says, I don't believe what I read. I don't know this guy, right? I said, okay, me either. Took a drag off my beer. Took a drag off my cigarette. Waited for it, and he leaned back out of the light, and you could see the wheels turning in the back of his head. And I'm not sober, and I knew, this guy's really thinking about something. So I'm staring at him, and he's staring at me, thinking, and I'm like, what's coming on? And he leans in, and he goes, so how true is the shirt? And dude, it was like somebody flipped the lights on. I looked out at the dance floor again, and all of the dudes were paired up, and all of the girls were paired up. And all of the big burly guys around the pool table were women. And all of the chicks in the cages on the bar were not. And I look over at Addie, who's sitting at the bar, and she's just giving me this huge Cheshire cat, thumbs up. Hey, buddy! And I looked at her, I was like, and she said, should have done your laundry, asshole! Thanks, Addie. I love you, too.
Wow.
Yeah. I dumped my beer out into the plant next to me, and by the time I made it to the bar to get another beer, oh, look, my beer's empty. I'm going to excuse myself and get the hell away from you. By the time I got to the bar, 2 steps, he had already ordered my beer. So I stepped around to Addie and I threw my arm around her. That's the one move you got. I'm here with my girlfriend, right? Not in this bar. Didn't work at all. Her response to that was, if you get raped in the men's room, you're on your own.
Wow.
Yeah. She said, you thinking about popping the seal now? I said, you suck so bad. I hate you so much right now. I could kill you. And I would not have a ride home. She said, yeah, we're not leaving for a while. Oh, God.
Think I went outside?
No, you don't get into the alley at no.
There's a main street.
I didn't know where I was, dude.
A good point.
The truck stopped, I hopped out, cars waited, and I was in the... There were condoms, somebody was like, right on this way, and I'm like, ooh, dance floor. That was as cogent as my thought process was.
Do you know where this bar was?
No, I don't.
It used to be called Up Your Alley.
You know when you're on...
It's across from the Bank of Carbondale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and right next to it is the Social Club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before it was a Social Club, it was the Purple Rhino.
And there's a bunch of alleys back there that you don't want to be in. He's
Right.
right.
Yeah.
But I was in the main street. Good point. You probably didn't notice
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, no, screw the bathroom. I'm not going to get...
Got out of the truck, cars waited, heard the music, condoms, dance floor, woo!
Right. Party!